Hello, everybody, and welcome back to mufcMPB here on YouTube. My name is Brooks, and of course, today is Thursday, the 11th of April. We're getting ever so close to the summer transfer window. We are getting ever so close to the end of the season, the end of the Premier League season. We've witnessed the first legs of the Champions League quarterfinals. FA Cup semi-finals are going to be coming up pretty soon. Summer transfer window is going to be coming up pretty soon, which means only one thing: there's going to be a lot of changes happening thick and fast at Manchester United. And as you can tell by the title, what I will be discussing today is the potential future of Erik ten Hag, because really and truly it is still kind of up in the air at the moment. We don't know definitively. There will only be a couple of people who really know what's going to happen, and they might not even know yet. They might not have made up their mind. However, that doesn't stop Manchester United and the staff members at Manchester United from planning for anything. You have to be able to plan for any sort of situation. You have to be able to plan for a season where Erik ten Hag is here. You have to also be able to plan for a potential season where another manager is here, and that other manager could be anybody. It could be Amorim, who was recently linked to Liverpool and then came out and said those rumours were false. It could be Graham Potter. Some people want him, some don't. It could be Gareth Southgate. It could be the man who is on your screen now, Julian Nagelsmann, because reported by Stefan Kumberger, Julian Nagelsmann has received an offer from an unknown Premier League club. In the past, Manchester United and Newcastle have been mentioned as interested parties. Now, the fact that Newcastle have been mentioned here is interesting to me because, of course, you know, they had that influx of money. They had the new owners from Saudi. They had Eddie Howe, and they seem to be on the right path. Last season, they did very well, obviously qualified for the Champions League. This season hasn't been as good for them, a bit like Manchester United. But one thing that's always been there is Eddie Howe. And I think it wouldn't be so much of a disrespect to him to say, if Newcastle wanted to actually progress and build on that fourth place finish, build on their Champions League run, they might have to get rid of a manager like Eddie Howe and bring in someone like Julian Nagelsmann, who is young, he's eccentric, he's unique, he's his brand of football is very exciting. That would fit in very well at Newcastle, and I would be upset if Nagelsmann went to Newcastle because he has a good structure there. He himself is a good manager. I think he has a good squad. There are a lot of areas in that Newcastle squad which could be improved. And as well, because of the quality of manager he is, I said in a recent, it was either last week or, well, it would have been last week, that I wouldn't mind Nagelsmann coming in. I think if Nagelsmann came into Manchester United, he'd be able to bring out the best of the players that we already have and some extra players that are already here. Who knows, somebody like let me think of a player. Let me think of a bit of a left field player. Could be Sancho. Somebody like Sancho could come back in, mend broken bridges or mend bridges that other people might think were irreparable. He might turn into the Sancho that we bought. He might turn into that Sancho that Dortmund were valuing at 110 million. We don't know. All we know is that if Erik ten Hag is still here, it's gonna sound weird the way I say this, yeah. If Erik ten Hag is still here, then managers like Nagelsmann, managers like Amorim, managers like Roberto De Zerbi, it gives them an opportunity. It gives other clubs that we are competing with an opportunity to, these managers are up and coming. Nagelsmann is young. He's one of the better managers in Europe. Roberto De Zerbi is relatively new to the Premier League, relatively new to the top football, and relatively new to these conversations. He could be someone we can bring in. Graham Potter might get a second chance at Brighton. I don't know what manager you want at Manchester United, but keeping Erik ten Hag this season amidst all of the confusion and all of the backtracking and we're going to keep him, no, we're going to not. We want him, but we're not going to assure him of his place. All of this stuff, I don't think it bodes very well. I think personally, I think Ten Hag knows whether he's going to be here next season or not. I think the players might already know, or if they don't know, they will find out in the next few weeks. I think the owners, i.e. the Glazers, definitely know who they're going to be, who's going to be in the dugout next season. I think Barada knows. I think only a handful of people know. We don't know, of course, and all we can do is speculate. But there are a couple of other good pieces of news which could tie directly into who is appointed as the Manchester United manager. And this is something which I do want to talk about a little bit, talk about Ashworth and Wilcox with their history. But it has been reported that Ineos hope to have both Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox in place at Manchester United for the summer transfer window. And what does this mean? What sort of pedigree does someone like Jason Wilcox have? Because Wilcox is more likely, I guess, or will be the person who was signed first or whatever by Manchester United. What sort of history do they have? Now, I'll take you through Jason Wilcox's career, not as a player, but as a manager or as someone who's higher up than just a player. So in 2013, he started as Manchester City under-18s manager, and he was there for 3 years, and then he upgraded, I guess, to the head of academy coaching at Manchester City, a position in which he was for 1 year, and then in 2017-18 he became Manchester City's academy manager. Now, he was in this position for 6 years until last season, the end of last season. So on July 1st, 2023, he became the director of football at Southampton. Now, during his time at Manchester City, he's won a Champions League, he's won 5 Premier Leagues, he's won 2 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, and 2 Community Shields. That's more than most players. And let's not be like, oh, Pep Guardiola did everything. We know as well as any fan base, it's not just a manager. Success comes from above. Success is systemic. Very rarely do you get a place where everything from the owners, director of football, head of whatever recruitment is, or higgity-haggity, and then you just have a gem as a manager and they go and win everything. Rarely does that happen. I can't off the top of my head think of a time where a manager has come in amongst every piece of mess possible and won stuff. You could say, I don't know why I put so much emphasis on the C there, but you could say last season, Erik ten Hag winning the League Cup and coming third was an example of a manager, a very good manager, coming into a place that was just unsettled and didn't have any sort of structure and winning something. It could be that, but I'm talking about Champions Leagues and Premier League. Jason Wilcox altogether has 14 trophies. Look, I think that's very good. I'm going to directly compare this to Dan Ashworth, who has 0, but I'm also going to compare their jobs. So, Dan Ashworth has been involved in football not playing for way longer than Jason Wilcox. So, in 2000, or the 1st of January 2000, the season 99-2000, he became the academy manager of Peterborough. In 2001, which was exactly a year later, he became the director of the youth department at Cambridge United. 4 years later, he became the academy manager at West Brom. 3 years after that, he became the sporting director at West Brom. 6 years after that, he became the director of development at England. Now, that's 2013-14. If you coincide that with England's success, don't really want to say the 2016 Euros because that's when we got knocked out by Iceland. You could say, now this is where it might be a bit controversial and a bit, do we really want Dan Ashworth if you want to look into this so much? But the time that Dan Ashworth was the director of development at England, I don't know how much this ties in with the senior side, how much this ties in with the football that we see as England first team watchers at the World Cup, at the Euros, at any sort of game. I don't know how much this ties into it. But Dan Ashworth left that role to become the technical director at Brighton what am I doing? Qatar was 22. Just before the World Cup in Russia. So during his 5 years as director of development in England, at England, we were rubbish. And then as soon as he left, we were very good, relatively good. We didn't win anything. The final, the semis, blah, 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 blah. Then after the technical director job at Brighton, in which he was there for 3 years, he moved to the sporting director role at Newcastle. At that job, he was appointed on the 30th of May, 2021. He was in charge until the 19th of February 2024. So he's not there anymore, but as I do believe there is, I don't know if it's called a grace period or something. If he waits it out, then wherever he goes doesn't have to pay a compensation or something. But we're in that period now where Manchester United have to pay Newcastle. They have to come to an agreement, a financial agreement, a compensatory agreement for the services of Dan Ashworth. Now, back to the headline or the report on the screen. Ineos hope to have both Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox in place at Manchester United for the summer transfer window. Now, you have two people there who thrive in English football. Jason Wilcox has a resume that a lot of managers would be proud of, let alone someone who's above the manager. And then you have Dan Ashworth, who's at Newcastle and is at Brighton. And those two clubs specifically have done very well during his tenure. And I think putting them both together is a bit like the Goku and Vegeta fusion. I think it can either go bust and not work at all, or you could get a mix. It could be like a Dan Wilcox and you get the best of the best. And I'm hoping obviously for the latter, because I'm hoping that all the success at Manchester United, but it'll be interesting to see whether we do get them both before the summer transfer window. But just moving on to some more news regarding the summer transfer window. Atletico Madrid, Juventus and Barcelona are interested in Mason Greenwood. And I think this is very good. Look, with the whole Mason Greenwood situation, whether you want him there or not, we all have to come to accept the fact that he's not going to be playing for Manchester United again, or at least any time in the next few years. But we do also have to acknowledge and not even just agree, but just acknowledge that he is an immense talent. He was the talent of Manchester United. He was the one who was meant to come through. He was meant to be this and that. People saying, oh, he's going to be top scorer at United, blah, blah, blah. He did what he did. What happened, and he's not at Manchester United anymore. He's not playing for us anymore, and he won't be in the future. That's not to say that other massive clubs aren't going to come in for him. Atletico Madrid and Barcelona will have been watching Mason Greenwood firsthand. He's obviously playing in Spain at Getafe. He's had a very good season. They wanted to keep him at Getafe, but especially after his 2-year layoff, Mason Greenwood has a higher ceiling, I think, than Getafe. And I think a team like Atletico Madrid would fit well for him. I think a team like Barcelona would fit even better for him. You've got someone there, Mason Greenwood, whose ceiling is insanely high. He's quick. I think he's left-footed. And I say I think he's left-footed, not because I don't watch football, but just because his right and left foot are equal. He's a deadly finisher inside and outside the box. He can take free kicks as well. He was taking free kicks for the youth academy. And that is a talent which I think a lot of people overlook. And he's still young. He has all of his career ahead of him. It's a massive... I wouldn't say it's a massive risk of an investment, because he's had that year in Spain and he's demonstrated and he's kicked on. And to be honest, from the first appearance he had in Spain, of course, which would have been after a couple of years out, to now, he's come on leaps and bounds. He's showing everybody else what Manchester United fans were seeing and what we were raving about. And I think if he went to a Barcelona, stayed in Spain, because it's clear that he's doing all right there. It's clear that the football there has suited him. And if he was there at a Barcelona, I'm not saying Real Madrid are linked, but if he was there at a Barcelona or Real Madrid or an Atletico Madrid, you'd see the rise of Mason Greenwood. And to be honest, you'd probably see Manchester United try and go back in for him in a few years. I'd imagine whatever deal gets done, there is either a first refusal or a buyback that would be included, because of the talent that Mason Greenwood is, Manchester United wouldn't want to just cut ties, because if they would have done it already. And that's something you guys have to accept, or people have to... Oh, gosh. Sorry, that is a bad hiccup. That is something that people have to accept. Mason Greenwood is a massive, massive talent. And whatever club he does end up at, whether it's at Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Juventus, or Barcelona, they will be getting an incredible player. An incredibly young player who over the next 3 or 4 years could develop into what we thought and hoped we would be seeing at Manchester United. But here is another player who could be at Manchester United. Manchester United sent representatives to watch Palmeiras' 19-year-old forward Talis on Tuesday as Palmeiras under-20s beat Corinthians 2-0. Look, again, I can't profess to know anything about Talis. This is a player who we've been linked with for a while now. This isn't just a shot in the dark. I don't think this is just a randy journalist or someone who's trying to get a little bit of clout. This has been reported by ESPN Brazil. If you know ESPN, you'll know that they are a very reliable source of information in the sporting world. And this is the Brazilian ESPN. This is a reliable source showing us that Manchester United are active at the moment, actively scouting down in South America for new talents. Palmeiras, Santos, Corinthians. I know that Flamengo are 4 of Brazilians' bigger teams. I know I'm missing one out. Athletic Mineiro, I can't remember. But they just seem to be like a conveyor belt of talent, of forwards, usually forwards or attacking midfielders. You got Vinicius, you got Rodrigo, you got Endrick, you got Neymar, you got Ganso, Sao Paulo is the other one. You got Ganso. Those are just 5 of the players that I could think of off the top of my head. Lots and lots of clubs around Europe, lots of the bigger clubs around Europe were watching these guys, but just didn't, just thought, nah. And then Real Madrid or Barcelona went in for them, and it just turns out to be gold dust. Manchester United, if I'm honest, never, as much as I remembered, never really seemed to be in and around these guys. It would always be a Chelsea, obviously Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Manchester City, Gabriel Jesus, they were involved as well, but Manchester United were never there. And if I'm honest, if we were there, especially before the Man Cities came in, I think Manchester United could have had a chance of signing a couple of these players, or a couple of players that came out of Brazil and just did bits. We're here now. We're here looking at Talis. I don't know much about him. As well as myself, you guys are going to have to do some research, like watch some clips, see if you can hop on some extremely legal websites and watch some Palmeiras under-20s. I don't know if that will even be on the internet for you guys to watch. But it looks like Manchester United have watched other clubs make mistakes and watched other clubs benefit from not taking risks. Maybe this might be a transfer where Manchester United take a risk and think, yeah, we're going to get this one in. If it doesn't work out, we haven't spent that much on him, because I haven't seen a price, but I wouldn't imagine it will be too steep. So I think that's a deal that could possibly happen. But we're going to end on something, just to kind of make this episode a full circle. Reported by Santi JFM. I'm going to get his full name because I can't remember it. Santi Auna, I believe. I think Erik ten Hag will be sacked in the summer. Manchester United are searching the manager market for a replacement. Now, you can follow Santi. You can follow this on Twitter and make up your own mind as to whether you would rank him high on the tier list of reliable sources or not, because I've never heard of him. He writes for Foot Mercato, which is a big publication, but as I said, I've personally never heard of Santi Auna. A lot of people are saying that Erik ten Hag is going to get sacked. I still don't think he's going to get sacked. I still think he's going to be here next season. I think we're going to get a year of Erik ten Hag under Ineos to see if what he can really offer Manchester United is the way to take us forward. Again, let me know in the comment section down below as well. Do you want Erik ten Hag to get sacked? Do you want Erik ten Hag to remain as Manchester United manager? What club do you think would be best for Mason Greenwood in the summer? And do you think we're going to be able to get Dan Ashworth to partner up with Jason Wilcox before this summer transfer window kicks off? Look, the season is ending soon. Champions League quarterfinals have started. The FA Cup semi-finals, which is way more important to football in general, obviously, is going to be soon. If you did like the episode, please make sure you leave a like on the video. Hit that subscribe button as well. Make sure you keep up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news at mufcMPB over on X. Make sure you follow myself as well as all of the other presenters on X as well. All of our links will be in the description down below. Make sure you leave a like on the video. Let's hope. Do you know what? Before I really finish off the episode, I'm just going to say one thing. If Manchester United don't win this weekend, maybe Santi might be right. I'll see you guys tomorrow with another episode before our match this weekend, but I will see you guys later. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.